What's up top 10 fam, hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. Now evil can find you on any path you guys, it really can. You'd think it's just the dark alleyways, the secluded dirt roads, but it can honestly be a crowded street in the middle of the day. It can be on the route home you take every single day. Like evil can get you no matter where you are. So always be mindful you guys. I'm not gonna scare you guys further, well actually I am with this list. Also stay tuned to the end of this video for some bonus content you guys really don't want to miss. More me? Yes. Here are the top 10 scary paths where evil awaits. Starting us off at number 10 is the serial killer. Reddit user Dr. Jim Danger shared this story about 3 years ago. He said when he was 18 he went on a camping trip to the Apalachicola National Forest near Tallahassee. I know I said that wrong, just bear with me you guys. They went deep into the woods, set up their campsite and decided to do some exploring. Now they found a path near them and went on their way. A few minutes into their adventurous walk, they realized someone was living there. They ended up reaching a campsite of an older man living in his van. He had clotheslines hung up, a dog, a bunch of canned food, and so forth. And at this point the teens were like, maybe this is a bit sus, we should probably leave. As they try to leave unnoticed, the man sees them and starts speaking to them, asking them where they're from, giving them some tips on what spots to check out, and etc. But the directions he gave them were in steps, not yards, which was weird to them, and another red flag on top of many was the fact that he was continuously swaying from side to side. The boys made their way back unharmed either way and had a great trip and all was well and good. But 2 months later, one of them was watching the news when he saw the news of a serial killer and then it showed a dog. Then the boy realized the murderer was the same man they encountered in the park and that his name was Gary Michael Hilton. Gary was convicted of at least 4 murders and had even killed a girl at the campsite soon after they had left him. All the spots he had told them to go to were all spots he had apparently killed people at. They called the police and were flown in to speak to investigators and they ended up finding a partially destroyed finger bone in one of those very spots. Coming in at number 9 is the walk home. In October of 2017, a 17-year-old girl had had a great night out with her friends but got separated from them as the night went on. She decided to take a shortcut on a different path home and keep in mind it was late but not super late. Like you'd assume after a night out it'd be like 2-3 a.m. but it was around 11:45 p.m. so it wasn't too bad. So as she was walking home, CCTV footage showed her being carried by a man into some doorway and then you don't see him again after that. The top half of the girl's clothing was found at the location and the girl, disorientated, walks out and continues home. Then a bearded man on a bicycle approaches her and takes it to an area away from the street for a while and then the camera sees him walk away. The girl comes out, clothes completely disheveled, continues walking again where she's attacked by 2 or 3 more guys. Someone on the street ends up calling the police when they found her lying on the ground in complete disarray and officers believe she was drugged. This poor 17-year-old girl was walking home and was sexually assaulted and raped 3 or 4 times in the space of 1 hour and it disgusts me and makes me sick that we live in a world like this. Like when I was reading this my blood was boiling. How does someone have the audacity? You're on a bicycle, the man went to the extra effort of getting off his bicycle to rape someone. Disgusting. At number 8 we have The Being. This one comes from user Jamin3381, which could be my couple name if I was dating someone with a name starting with J. Honestly, it's so easy to ship me with anyone, really. I mean, we have Chayman, I think it was Yemen with my ex. See the perks of having a name that starts with a vowel? Got him, bro. Either way, enough of that. On Halloween night back in 2003, the girl and her sister went out to get something to drink. On their way home, they had walked about 2 blocks before getting a weird feeling. She looked up as she was walking and saw a large being about 6'5", wearing a top hat and trench coat walking towards them. The closer they got to it, the more details they saw. White wiry hair, abnormally long limbs and fingers, and the whole thing just seemed to radiate pure evil. The girls realized there was no way they'd reach the gate of their complex before this thing reached them, and it seemed to just glide across the floor in an unearthly manner, and it did it fast as well. The sister user quickly grabbed her and pulled her through a broken gap in the fence of their gate, and they got onto the other side and waited. The being passed them, stopping right next to them, almost showing them it was annoyed that they had escaped before just gliding away. The next morning, the user was running through the events of the night before in her mind and realized she actually never remembered there being a gap in the fence before. She had walked on that path many times but had never seen it, so she went to check it out, and lo and behold, there wasn't a gap there. So how the hell did this gap magically come out of nowhere and save the day? I don't know, but I don't care because it still saved them. And that's what we're here for, people. Happy stories. Filling our number 7 slot is the ski mask. This story comes from Redditor JWhite45, who was visiting her cousins in North Dakota one winter break. They were all at a friend's house, and by 3 AM the user was getting sleepy and decided to walk home. Now the cousin's house was in a desolate area, but thankfully when the moon is out it seems lighter than it actually is. Either way, she took the path they usually take, which goes right behind the house through a wooded area. Already just from that, I'm like, this is not gonna bode well for anyone. Either way, as she's walking head down, trying not to get that wind chill, she looks up and freezes. Not because of the winter, although that is also a valid reason. Someone else was walking 75 yards away from her in the opposite direction, and he also seemed startled when he realized she was there. The user kind of gave him a bit of like a wave, and he just stood and stared. The user then realized this tall ass dude had a full face ski mask on. Mask off, mask off. Can we just think about this? It's 3 AM. This girl is a bit drunk in the woods alone with this man in a ski mask. You tell me how this is gonna go. It's not gonna go well. Chills went through her body, and a voice in her head told her to get the hell out of there right now, and so she did. Really, it took that voice in your head to tell you to get out of there? I wouldn't have even entered the woods to begin with. 3 AM? Woods alone? Are you freaking kidding me? No! No, no, no! Now at number 6 is the WOMP. Gotta love a bit of, onomatopoeia. Shared by OG Dinosaur on Reddit, an archaeologist if you couldn't guess from the username. Either way, they were doing a survey in British Columbia, and at this point the crew had gone home and only the user and their boss was left. They had to stay a few extra days to confirm coordinates and finish the mapping and so forth, all that archaeology thing that people do. As they're going into the bush, they have to go through a bunch of winding logging paths to get to an area they visited once a few weeks prior. When they get there, everything just feels off. 15 minutes pass, and all of a sudden they both hear a deafening whomp sound, and the user could legit feel the pressure of it in their ears. The boss at this point was white as a ghost, and the sound comes again. This time the user can feel the pressure in their ears, their chest, their back, and they have chills all over their body. The boss then stands up and says, "Let's get the hell out of here," and so they half hike, half run back to their motel. The user described the pressure of the sound to that of the whoosh you feel when an eagle takes flight. And I actually love how they made that comparison, like we've all been near an eagle when it takes off for flight. Like that's not common. I haven't been there for that. Coming in at number 5 is the random attack. Reddit user Alex Drops was camping with a few friends in Allegheny National Forest, and during one of the nights they were sitting around a fire and decided to get some more wood for their fire because you know how things go. Your fire runs out after a while. So they took a path they hadn't before, got the wood and came back, and then they realized a bunch of rocks were being thrown at their tent. It seemed to be coming from a path leading off to the left, but they knew that led nowhere. The rocks then stopped coming, and they assumed maybe it was just some animal digging and launching debris everywhere, so they just kind of let it go. They got inside the tent, and 15 minutes later the rocks started coming at them again. The boys, confused and at this point, went to investigate and found no one there. No culprit, no animal, just nothing. A few hours later, they heard the most piercing scream from the dead-end path where the rocks were coming from. Now, they never got to the bottom of what happened, but took turns staying awake while the others slept till the morning when they finally left. Honestly, I would do the same. I'm not freaking sleeping while this thing is going on outside. Well, actually, to be fair, I would not go camping anyway. I would just not. I'm not a camper. I'm not a camper, sorry. Sue me. At number 4 is the smell. Shared by Redditor Clockwork2112, they said when they were a kid they went hiking along a coastal national forest with a friend and their dad. The user went to an overgrown side path to pee and noticed this disgusting stench that he could just not put his finger on. He went back to the main trail, but as they went further down, the stench got worse and worse. The dad theorized it was probably the smell of a dead animal nearby or something, which I've also had to deal with. There's a park on my uni's campus, and there was an animal that died and then got covered by snow all winter, and it was there all winter, and I literally used to just not breathe every time I walked by. It was absolutely disgusting. disgusting. Either way, when they got further along the path, they saw a tree that had a bunch of trash at the bottom of it with a cardboard sign that read "Come and find me" with an arrow pointing further down the trail. Now at this point, number one, they shouldn't have followed the sign. Number two, the stench was so bad it was burning the user's nose, which is another bad sign. Like, do people just like bury red flags under the rug? Like, what is this? They all ended up going back the way they came and telling the sheriff, so they actually never found out what was at the end of the trail. But I mean, I have some theories. A bunch of dead corpses, an old homeless man, or maybe it really was just a bunch of dead animals. But even then, a bunch of dead animals, a pile of dead animals, what killed them? Was it a supernatural creature? Nobody really knows. Filling our number 3 slot is the laughter. Reddit user Rylodo was camping in Big Sur one weekend and it was pretty lit. Since the group had the whole site to themselves, they could do whatever they wanted, you know, a whole lot of gang shit as we do. No, I'm kidding. They were half a mile from the ocean, surrounded by forests, so you could say it was pretty damn blissful. They were telling stories around the campfire, probably roasting marshmallows because that's what people do when they go camping, right? S'mores for days. By 1 AM, they woke up because their dog, who is usually very calm, was freaking out. She was pulling at her leash trying to run away, and she actually broke her harness and managed to run across the field. The boys chased her into the forest where they found her curled up in a random clearing just whimpering. They carried the dog back into the tent, but the dog refused to lie down. It was on high alert and kept barking at a path that was leading to the other side of the forest. The boys were inside the tent worried but trying to keep it together when their nightmare fuel came true. Out of nowhere, they heard this high-pitched cackling outside their tent coming from the direction of the path the dog was barking at. The boys were so scared they didn't even dare breathe, and after the laughing came the screaming. Now they don't know if it was a coyote or whatever it was, but they were also too far from their car to make a run for it. They just had to sit in the tent, probably in their own pee and feces, as the laughing died down, because let's face it, if that was me, would've myself, would've myself. Now at number 2 is the KLAN rally. Redditor Beer Hunter 420 shared this with us 3 years ago, and creative username, just by the way. Either way, he said that every year without fail, him and his friends do a camping trip in the Manistee National Forest in Michigan. That year they went to a completely new location by the river for some fishing and kayaking, and it was remote as hell. The first day they got there, they set up their tents, chilled on the river, and started a fire by nighttime. The vibe was nice, romance was in the air. No, I'm kidding. They were all just talking and bonding when they suddenly saw a massive glowing fire 300 yards away. The group thought it was probably another camping group, but then they started hearing chanting. They edged a bit closer to the area and realized it wasn't a massive bonfire that was making the glow, it was a giant burning cross. Then 5 minutes later, gunfire erupts out of nowhere, and I'm talking 10 different guns going off at once. Then they hear the words "white power" being yelled by around 30 people, which is the point they probably realized they had made a grave friggin' mistake. The next day they packed up their stuff and got the hell out of there, but it's safe to say they were right next to a KLAN rally, which is just, how is this still a thing? Like what is the world coming to? I don't know. You guys tell me. And finally, at number 1 are Jennifer ERTMAN and Elizabeth PENA. So back in June of 1993, the girls were at a pool party when they realized they were gonna miss their curfew coming home. They decided to leave early in order to be home at 11 PM and try taking a 10-minute shortcut path to get there. Responsible girls getting home at 11, we like that. Get home safe, you guys. Now, they were walking along the White Oak Bayou when they came across a group of gang members drinking beer post having a gang initiation. The gang ended up kidnapping Elizabeth while Jennifer initially got away, which is just a snake move, FYI. How do you just leave your friend there? And then she realized, wait, I just left her there, and ran back to help when she heard her screaming. Honestly, kudos to Jen. A lot of people wouldn't have just gone back, they would have just ran for it and saved themselves, so good on her. But here's where it gets really, really horrible. The 6 gang members raped both girls repeatedly, and thinking about perhaps being identified later, the leader ordered the others to kill them. They were strangled with shoelaces, and then the men stomped on their necks to make sure they were really dead. Their bodies were found 4 days later, badly decayed, and evidence of the members resurfaced as well. One of them had a videotape of them smiling at the scene of the crime, which is just disgusting, like my blood is boiling. The gang members did get arrested and they are serving a sentence right now, but like, this whole list just makes me mad, especially like the rape stories and like the girls. Like, calm down, Eamon. calm down. And that's it for today's video, guys. I know that was a mixed bloody bag, and honestly, you'll really never know how safe or unsafe a path is. Always be diligent, be careful. I want to say the world is getting safer, but if anything, it's pretty much the opposite. Keep your eyes peeled and stay cautious, you guys. If you ever need me to come slap a hole, I will do that. But also, you know I've got you guys, come on. As always, I'm your host Ayman Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye. Apalachicola? Apalachicola. The closer they got to the man, I can't see anymore. Anyway. Oopsies. We love that strain. Why did my voice like break? So, what's happening? Pops was camping with a few friends in Allegheny National Forest with some friends, cause we can't get enough of friends.